Hi everyone, Paul Levy with Brownells here, and today we've got Alexander with Gemtech here to tell us a bit about their suppressor line. Alexander, first up you've got your G-Core line. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, thanks Paul. So, the Gemtech G-Core line is really built around user maintenance and serviceability, and then also for durability. And it's easy to talk about. The G-Core is all one piece. It's very simple. You have your tube and you have your core.
Nice.
And this lends real well to being able to get brushes in there and clean it. We know that rimfire suppressors are extremely dirty and they need to be cleaned, and so this just makes it easy on you. The design really lends itself well to heat dissipation. So, the main purpose of a suppressor is to cool hot gases inside, and the G-Core really accomplishes that. We've got some great features on these. The GM22 is the lightest 22 suppressor on the market at 2.5 ounces. It has a titanium thread insert on the back, so you're not going to gall up your threads on your barrel. And then on the very front, if you look, there's a square, and it's not for square bullets. It's actually for a 1/4-inch torque.
Nice.
That way you can get it apart easier once it gets kind of gummed up with that nasty rimfire. So that's, the GM22 is a flagship model for us.
That's great on 22s, and then the G-Core also applies to your pistol cans as well? You have some for that?
Absolutely. Here we've got it on a 1911. This is the GM45, and the GM45 is a great can in that it's rated for full auto 45, full auto 9, full auto 40. It's rated for 10 millimeter, not full auto, but who's got one of those, right? And again, you get that real easy to clean and kind of maintain G-Core. It's nice and strong, very durable. The GM45, much like some of our other pistol suppressors, features a interchangeable mount system. So you've got your closer, your spring, and then your actual piston.
And you could swap those out depending on your model?
Absolutely. Here's one for 9 millimeter. We make them for 40 cal. And then we also have a line of solid mounts, so you can mount it onto things like 9 millimeter carbines or even 300 Blackout.
Okay. And tell me about the baffle design and what material is used in the baffle stack there.
So all the G-Cores, except for one, is all made out of 7075 aluminum. Okay. And so it's military grade aluminum, and it is coated with a high temp Cerakote, so it makes it easier to clean, and it adds to that durability. Okay. On the GM45 though, the pistons are made out of steel. You want a harder metal when threading onto steel barrels and things like that.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. The 9 millimeter suppressor is the GM9, and the GM9 is a great can. It is rated for 9 millimeter. It's rated for full auto 9 millimeter. It's also rated for subsonic 300 Blackout, and it has that similar piston design as the 45. But we also have a variety of mounts for HK3 lugs. We have an Uzi specific mount for FBI barrels.
So you can take it from that piston to a fixed barrel pretty easy.
Yep, absolutely. Here we've just got it on a Zev Glock 19, but it's one of those things. It can be adapted to metric threaded barrels if you've got an HK USP.
Maybe real quick, do you want to explain why you need to use that piston in a handgun suppressor?
No, that's a great idea. Let me throw this can back on here because I'm a visual guy.
Sure, absolutely.
This is a video, so we should show them, right? So the piston system is also called a Nielsen device, and the Nielsen device piston linear inertial decoupler is what Gemtech calls it. Some other manufacturers call it a few other things, but basically what it is it is a piston. It's a moving part, so you need to keep it lubricated, need to keep it clean. But what happens is the suppressor, I'm going to try and show this to the camera as well as possible, will actually move forward. So I don't know if you can see that, how it's moving forward. And what that does is for guns like a Glock, it has a tip-up barrel design. So as the slide unlocks, the barrel tips up, you're relieving the weight of the suppressor. So that's what allows the gun to function. Because normally if you were to have a weight on the end of your barrel, the gun's just going to...
It wouldn't be able to cycle.
It's not going to be able to cycle, exactly. And so that's what the Nielsen device or the lid takes care of.
All right. Very cool. Now, does that cover all the G-Core line then?
It doesn't. We have 3 left.
Okay.
See, we're going to hit that time mark that you're talking about. The Mist barrels is one of our most successful G-Core suppressors. The Mist is a integrally suppressed 1022 barrel. So we make them both for a standard 1022 and for a takedown model. It features a match-grade chamber, a match-grade barrel, and then a G-Core that is pinned and welded on with a removable tube.
So in a state like Iowa where I can't have an SBR I can just do the one stamp right there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a one stamp, not an SBR at all. Okay. It brings the overall length to about 17 inches once you have the tube on. So instead of having a 16-inch barrel with a 5-inch suppressor on it, now you have one solid package. These meter right around 112 decibels, which is very impressive. It's the quietest integrally suppressed 1022 barrel on the market.
And is the twist rate optimized for subsonic loads? Or
is not. No, it's a standard 1 in 16, I believe.
Okay, nice.
And then the last one that we can talk about is the GMT-300 Blackout. And what makes this one special is it is a all titanium suppressor. It has the square front as well for a 3/4 drive or a 3/8 drive, and then being all titanium, it's much more robust. It's rated down to a 6.5-inch 300 Blackout with both super and subsonic ammunition, and it is full auto rated. It doesn't weigh very much, being all titanium, and being direct thread on it doesn't add a lot to the overall length of the gun.
Yeah, that's a pretty short suppressor.
Really optimized for short-barreled rifles.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so that's the G-Core line then.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, we've got the Extreme Duty Use line. Tell me a bit about those suppressors.
The Extreme Duty suppressors, they were all made to stand up to the SOCOM firing table, which is 8 30-round magazines fired right after one another at different iterations. So it starts with 1 round a second, and then 2 rounds a second, and then 1 round a second, and then 3 to 4 round bursts, so full auto fire, and then 1 round a second, 2 round a second, and then the last magazine is a full magazine dump. So you just hold down the trigger. And all of these will stand up to several iterations of a SOCOM firing table. So you just keep doing it until the suppressor fails. At least that's how we test it. And all of these will hold up to that very, very well on their respective calibers. And so, you know, we can just dive right into it.
And you said this one actually went through that testing.
Yeah, this is the one. This is a good place to start. So the Gemtech 1, it's the one rifle suppressor you need. This is rated for everything from 300 Win Mag all the way down to a 7.5-inch 5.56 or even, you know, 22.
So essentially one suppressor to cover all your needs. You don't have to buy 5 to cover various rifles.
It is a quick mount suppressor of ours, but it can also be a thread mount. It comes with both and a tool to interchange those. And this rifle, this is an HK416 that I like to use a lot for testing. This is the rifle we shot this SOCOM on. So we did that 2 weeks ago for another video, and you can see it's very easy, push and twist, and that's it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's simple. It returns to 0, and you know, on a 10.5-inch barrel like this, it's... And
even after going through that firing table, it's not going to be hard to get off.
I mean, it gets a little more difficult. It's not quite the push and twist that you see here, but it is easier to get off than most other designs. When we talk about maintenance, we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, the Gemtech 1 is a great 30 caliber suppressor that you can use on 5.56. It's that dual can. It's a titanium and Inconel design. It's just very robust.
And what type of sound rating do you get out of
that? You know, sound ratings are one of those things. They're not subjective, but
every company measures them differently.
Well, yes and no. It kind of depends on. You know, I'm going to tell you, like on a 22, this does great. But, you know, realistically on a 16-inch 308, you're going to get it below that hearing safe threshold of 140 decibels.
Which is the important thing.
Yeah, you're going to the shooter, you know, you're going to get it right around that 137-ish, give or take. It depends on a lot of factors. But, yeah, that's... Our goal is to have all of our suppressors be hearing safe when used in accordance for what they're designed for. You know, that hearing safe is what Gemtech was really built on. We helped pioneer the testing protocols that are still in use today. It's something that's very important to the core of the company.
All right. So that's the one extreme duty use. What about some of these other suppressors?
So these two guys are the Patrolman and the Shield. The Patrolman is a very simple direct thread on titanium and Inconel design. All of these suppressors have an Inconel Blast Baffle. Inconel is a super dense, super hard metal that stands up to the higher temperatures and higher pressure and the unburnt powder of things like 5.56, especially on short barrel rifles. But the Patrolman is 5.7 inches long, so it adds 5.2 inches to the overall length of the gun. We made these, you know, as kind of that duty type suppressor.
It stays on somebody's rifle in the car.
Exactly.
Yep,
We use a little, like 2 drops of blue Loctite, torque it on using the 3/8 torque on the front,
Oh, sure.
and then leave it there. Don't use any cleaning rods or patches. Just use like a bore snake. But
yeah, you don't want to leave patches inside the can.
You really don't.
Sure.
It happens, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Patrolman's just a great, simple suppressor.
And that's a direct thread then?
It is direct thread on, absolutely. The Shield is a quick mount, similar to the One, but it's 5.56 specific.
Okay.
That quick mount design helps if you have a short barrel rifle or a smaller gun and you like to keep it small if you have it in a bag or a briefcase or something like that, and then you can very quickly take the suppressor and pop it on, pop it off.
Or if you have
as
multiple
needed.
guns to
That's
swap
right.
it out.
I mean, like me personally, I like to shoot the One, but I shoot it on 5.56, 5.45, 300 black, 308.
Can you speak to that a bit? Say shooting it on different, say buying a 30 caliber can and shooting it on 5.56 guns, that sort of thing?
Yeah, the big trend in the market now is to buy a 30 cal can and use it for everything. And it's smart to do that. You're only paying the one tax stamp. You're married to these things like marriage in the 50s.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of it. It's forever. And having that 30 cal suppressor to use on multiple platforms is great. And some will argue that a dedicated 5.56 suppressor is going to be quieter on 5.56. That's true, but we're talking a few decibels here and there. And in some cases, the human ear won't even pick up the difference.
Yeah.
Our sound equipment definitely will. But my experience has been using the One on a 16-inch 5.56, the most common size of 5.56s, sounds pretty similar to using the Shield on a 16-inch.
So if an individual, say, is only going to have a 5.56 or 223 rifle, maybe buy the 5.56 can, you're probably going to be fine. But if you have multiple guns, maybe look at a 30 cal can.
Absolutely, especially if you're thinking about getting into a 308 or a 30-30 or all of those common calibers. Most people nowadays have more than one caliber.
Yeah.
So the 30 cal cans, that's why they're so popular.
Okay.
The last two in the extreme duty, this is called the Dagger. The Dagger is a direct thread-on suppressor. This one was really designed for 300 Win Mag. It's rated down to a 18-inch 300 Win Mag. We designed this can right about the time Nemo Arms, they designed a rifle called the Omen. It's
that's semi-auto.
Exactly, 300 Win Mag. And they have one called the Watchman, I believe, and it's a 18-inch.
Okay.
And so we tested these cans on that rifle. And that was a lot of 300 Win Mag, but it was a lot of fun.
Testing.
Yeah, and these cans are great. They're rated down to a 12-inch 308 and 10.5-inch 5.56s. So this can is very robust, but we also use it as kind of that PRS style. If you have a 20-inch or a 24-inch 308 or a Win Mag or something, and you need a lightweight, robust suppressor, direct thread-on is going to give you less POI shift. Again, 2 drops of blue Loctite, torque it onto your barrel and just leave it there and zero your gun and never screw with it again.
So within your product line, this is your precision rifle suppressor.
It is. This one really is, for that sort of bench rest shooting and things like that. You want a lightweight suppressor on the end of your gun that's going to stand up to some of those heavier calibers.
Of course, you guys got the quality, so everything's precise. You're not going to have anything variance. And with direct thread, you don't have the mount.
Right, yeah. And the quick mounts being the bilock design like that, it's kind of a return to zero. You pop it on, take it off, it's the same every time. A direct thread on, you're going to see less POI shift, where as a quick mount, there may be 2 or 3 inches of POI shift, but it'll always be the same POI shift. A direct thread on normally is less, and usually we advocate pretty heavily, just keep it on your gun, leave it there forever.
Just keep it on there.
Buy bunches of them.
Yeah,
That's,
there you go.
That's the best way to do it, right? So the last can is the Halo. This is a GM Halo, so it's an updated model of the original Halo. The original Halo has been around for about a decade. We originally designed the Halo for organizations that were unable to modify their guns by removing A2 flash hiders or by changing them out to, say, like a quick mount, a proprietary
They weren't
mount
allowed
system.
to.
Yeah, they wouldn't be allowed to. And so, the Halo was made for an A2 flash hider, and this is the Halo closer. And if you're familiar with the blank firing adapter groove on an A2, there's 2 grooves on there.
Right behind the openings on the flash hider.
Correct. Yeah, those are for blank firing adapters. BFA grooves is what they're called. This will actually hook into that BFA groove, and then the silencer goes right over the actual mount, and it clamps around the mount. And so the caveat here is that you have to remove crush washers off of the gun.
No crush washers allowed on this.
You don't want crush washers on anything with a silencer. Crush washers are the devil. They will destroy a silencer very quickly.
And why is that?
If you think of a crush washer, it is tapered. And when you put on a flash hider and you torque it in place, that crush washer is crushing. And it's not crushing uniformly.
Okay.
And on a flash hider that's only 1 inch or 2 inches long, it doesn't matter. But on a suppressor that's 7 inches long, you have enough of a misalignment to cause baffle strikes or at a minimum end cap rubs, which all of those things are bad.
Yeah, bad.
And so that's why most of our suppressors will come with a shim set, flat washers that you will put behind the flash hider to time it correctly, you know, so you get that good, you know, whatever's at the 12 o'clock position. So that's very, very important. We've seen suppressors like permanently destroyed in as little as 3 rounds because of crush washers. Yeah, it's no joke. So that's the big thing with the Halo. You got to make sure you don't have a crush washer.
And that was designed for military use then about a decade ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one is the steel model. We make it in titanium as well. That weighs about half. It weighs 12.1 ounces, the titanium model. This one's about 24. And it was designed for that extreme use. You know, the first ones were optimized for the M16, so a 20-inch barrel, and then as you know, guns got smaller, the M4 and things like that, we started optimizing them more for 14.5-inch barrels, and finally now, you know, they're really meant for 10.5-inch barrels.
And they can hold up just fine to that short barrel with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. That the Inconel insert on the Blast Baffle, so this one is heavily used, that's why it's been sectioned, and I can show sort of what it is. All of these baffles are called M baffles. They look like the letter M from the side, and they will be made of titanium. But right here, hold on, let's do this. Right here, right in there, you can see some threads. That is an Inconel thread insert. And that Inconel, being very dense and very hard, will take the brunt of the blast. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but in here, this is very eroded. It's very...
And your flash hider sits right here, correct?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. This would be the blast chamber of the suppressor, so that takes the initial brunt. And you can see in here, this one is fairly eroded from all of the hot gases and unburnt powder and things like that. And even right in here, that first kind of funnel inside, it's, well, and that hole's supposed to be there, but it's supposed to be a lot larger. Now it's just filled with crud. And but this suppressor is still 100% usable. I mean, it's cut in half, so it's not. But, you know, if it were still a whole suppressor, it would still be just fine. This suppressor probably has 50,000 or so rounds through it. So, you know, you can see the sort of buildup, but that's a lot of rounds.
Interesting. So then we have one more suppressor over here. Tell me a bit about that one.
Yeah, so this is the Tracker. This is our newest suppressor. We introduced it earlier this year, and the Tracker is a extremely lightweight, geared towards the hunter, bench rest shooters, PRS shooters, things like that. The Tracker got its start as a military sniper rifle suppressor. We were contacted by an overseas government. They were buying new sniper rifles, and they wanted an extremely lightweight, inexpensive 308 suppressor. And so we designed this one. It really fit the bill. They had 20-inch 308s made by Caracal, and so we made the Tracker. It was then called the CS308 for Compact Sniper 308, I believe.
Interesting.
And, you know, it held up fine for what they needed. And so we wanted to adapt it for the American market. Americans, especially up north, you know, in Idaho where we're from, a lot of 300 Win Mag shooters, you know, for big game and things like that. So to make this 300 Win Mag rated, we just beefed it up with a titanium Blast Baffle instead of the all...
So that first portion is titanium.
Exactly, yeah. Here you've got basically where these sort of lines are is like your blast chamber, and that first titanium Blast Baffle is about right here, and then you have the subsequent aluminum baffles. And it's all 70-75 military grade aluminum. It's all anodized Type 3 hard coat. So I mean, it is for military duty. It's definitely a robust suppressor for being as lightweight as it is.
And what's the weight on it?
It's 11.6 ounces, 7.9 inches overall, so it adds about 7.5 inches the overall length of your rifle. It has our normal 3/8 drive on the front, so you can torque it onto your barrel like, you know, some of the other ones. 2 drops of blue Loctite, torque it on, leave it there forever,
you're good to
zero
go.
your rifle, you're good to go. We designed it, you know, like I said, for that sniper rifle application, but for the American market, more towards hunters. So the caveat with this can, and why it's not in the extreme duty line, is because we say only shoot about 10 rounds, shoot 10 rounds of whatever the caliber is, and then let it cool back down to ambient temperature. And that has to do with the heat properties of the aluminum. You know, that, and most hunters, if they're like smoking through 10 rounds, something
This
went
isn't
wrong.
a full auto can.
It's not a full auto can. It's, you know, it's that introductory can, a guy that's got a hunting rifle, you know, maybe it's threaded, maybe it's not. He gets it threaded and he wants to shoot suppressed. That's what this can is for.
Nice, a nice handy hunting
Absolutely.
suppressor.
You know, it's inexpensive enough that you can buy one for your hunting rifle and not worry about, you know, beating it up. It's going to last. It's robust, just like your rifle.
All right, thank you, Alexander. We appreciate you stopping by. I learned quite a bit today.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having us out. It's great
Absolutely.
getting to talk about the suppressors. For more information on our products, you can go to gemtech.com, or you can always go to the great folks at brownells.com.
And of course, all these products are available from Brownells. They're all backed by our 100% guarantee like anything else from Brownells. Thanks for watching.